Baseball on FSN Midwest is brought to you by Budweiser Select, brewed for a crisp taste that finishes clean. Be selective. By Auto Tire. For straight talk and great service, you ought to go to Auto Tire. By Steak and Shake. Real steak burgers and real milk milkshakes. Served 24 hours a day at Steak and Shake. And by Southwest Airlines. Friendly nonstop service all across the country. Southwest Airlines, a symbol of freedom. Just a perfect night for baseball. Glad you're with us on Fox Sports Net along with Jim Hayes and Al Raboski. I'm Dan McLaughlin. Welcome back to Philadelphia. Nice crowd has gathered for Game 2 of the 3-game series between these two teams. And this is the only visit by Tony La Russa and the Cardinals to this ballpark. Tony's lineup brought to you by Southwest Airlines, David Eckstein, Larry Walker, and Albert Pujols. Here in the first, Jim Edmonds for the second consecutive night will be the cleanup man. John Mabry's in left, Mark Grudzielanek, Abraham Nunez, Yadier Molina, and Chris Carpenter rounding out that Southwest Airlines starting lineup for St. Louis. And on the mound for the Phillies, Jon Lieber. His numbers brought to you by Rico. This will be his 9th start. And against the Cardinals, he's had 20 career starts in the past. Remember, he pitched with Pittsburgh and the Chicago Cubs. His record against St. Louis, Al, is 12-6.
Well, he's started the season 4-0. He's tied for third with those 5 wins. Of course, Carpenter is also, and he's 30-8 in home games since 2001. The best winning percentage of any major league pitcher during that time. Uncharacteristically, he's been walking a few of late.
Phillies really got a break yesterday when David Bell committed 3 errors and then Jimmy Rollins committed 2, so 5 combined, and yet they still won the game. They've only committed 20 errors this season. We go around the horn. It's brought to you by Auto Tire. Burrell, Chavez, Abreu in the outfield. Bell, Rollins, Utley, and Howard on the infield. And Mike Lieberthal is the catcher. And, of course, Jon Lieber is on the mound. The defense brought to you by Auto Tire. Charlie Manuel trying to get things going for the Phillies. 4 games below 500 at 18-22. And here at home, they're back to the 500 mark. They have struggled here at this ballpark this year. They're 9-9 after the win last night.
I think he's thinking once he gets Tomei, who went to Clearwater for extended spring, gets him at bat today and also tomorrow, and then he'll join the ball club in Baltimore and then get Kenny Lofton back. They think they'll be a much better team.
I'm a little surprised we haven't seen Kenny Lofton activated tonight. That was, by all accounts, supposed to happen before the game.
Yeah, he could have been activated as early as last night, but still trying to make sure that he is 100% before they activate him. And Eckstein got one right in on the hands.
And David Eckstein picked up his first National League home run yesterday off of Billy Wagner. Turned around a fastball that was near 100 miles an hour. There's Kenny Lofton in that dugout for the Phillies. Another extended workout today. He seems ready to go. And we could see him in action tomorrow in our day game that'll be seen on FSN Midwest. A count of 1 ball and 2 strikes. It's Eckstein, Walker, and Pujols here in the first. And against Jon Lieber, David is 5 for 14.
Quite a few of the Cardinal players have good numbers.
And this one is popped up into shallow right field. Utley giving chase. And he makes the play. Little confusion out there with Utley and Bobby Abreu. And eventually the second baseman made the play.
I would think Bobby Abreu would be calling his second baseman off. A much tougher play. But even if that second baseman's calling, you're coming in on the ball. You avoid a collision. It's an easier play coming in, but not much communication.
And it brings in Larry Walker with 1 out, nobody on. One of the things about Lieber, a couple things that stand out. The fact is that he works very quickly. One of the fastest workers in baseball. And he's always around the plate, sometimes to a fault.
That's why I said it was uncharacteristic that he's walked 11 in his last 4 starts. You don't want to walk anybody in this ballpark. Larry Walker, 4 home runs on the year, but he has 4 in his career against Lieber.
The 1-1 pitch is grounded towards first. Two outs.
A change as Perez is now playing first base instead of Ryan Howard, the St. Louis.
So initially Ryan Howard, who was in that lineup out of Lafayette High School in St. Louis, he was initially in it, and after watching that play, that's not Ryan Howard, that's Tomas Perez.
And thankfully Charlie Manuel was kind to us as they hit in the same spot, the 7th spot in the Phillies order.
So we don't need your whiteout is what you're telling me. And here's Albert Pujols. Albert, 3 hits last night for the Cardinals. He went 3 for 5 with a double, 2 RBIs, and a run scored. Yankees really took a chance, considering in December they allowed Jon Lieber to walk away. They had an option on him, did not pick it up, and the Phillies pounced on him.
And the Yankees went on the spending spree, picked up some more starting pitching. Jared Wright on the disabled list. Other guys, you know, they wish they had Lieber back.
The 3-0 pitch is upstairs to Albert Pujols, and it's a 2-out walk, and that's the first base runner tonight. Pujols came into play tonight, 7th best in batting average in the National League, and this is the cleanup man for the Cardinals, center fielder Jim Edmonds. He was saying during the pregame show he's trying to go at least focus on this, trying to take more pitches to the opposite field, and we have seen Jimmy knock it out of the ballpark to the opposite way. Tremendous power. And the reason that Howard is out of the lineup after taking batting practice and was on the field for some ground balls, a sore left hamstring, so his night is through, it looks like, unless he's available to pinch hit. That's 6 straight balls thrown by Jon Lieber.
See, working on both sides of the plate, but this ballpark plays very, very small, and you just don't want to give free passes. Lieber's only walked 12 on the season. And he had 13 now and 1 intentional pass.
Now he goes 3-0 on the Cardinals center fielder. We weren't sure if Jim Edmonds would even play in this series, and he played last night, made an impact. He was listed as day-to-day with that sprained left foot. Actually went home on the off day, had an MRI that showed no damage, and doctor said if you can play through the pain, go ahead and play, and he said I'm ready to roll. Also having good numbers against this right-hander, that will encourage you back in the lineup. Looks at a ball number 4, and that's back-to-back walks after he got the first 2. And it brings in John Mabry. Now, Tony La Russa was saying that if Edmonds would not have played last night, he wanted to get John Mabry in the game because Mabry is swinging one of the hottest bats in that dugout, and he does not have great numbers against Jon Lieber. This season, look at those numbers already at .349, pair of home runs and 8 RBIs.
Now, wherever he's played him, he's done an outstanding job.
Mabry with runners in scoring position, hitting .375, and the first pitch is a ball.
He's 10 for 19, 526 with 6 RBIs in the last 5 starts at 4 different positions. And now they're going to go out. Rich Doobie, the pitching coach, going out and talk with Lieber, as this is very uncharacteristic. He issued 11 walks coming into this game in his last 4 starts, which is the most he's allowed in a 4-game span since '98, April of '98, when he walked 11.
The thing that stood out to me about John Mabry is his average is on the rise, like we said, but how about the double plays that he was turning from first base? I mean, he made those things look easy.
And he's got a good throwing arm and positions himself well, and wherever he plays, he knows what he's doing. Anticipation.
1 ball, 1 strike on John Mabry with 2 outs and 2 runners on. We're just underway here in the first. Early on in his career against Jon Lieber, left-handers just pounded him. Nearly a .300 average. It's gotten a little better the last couple of seasons.
I went out
2 strikes now on Mabry.
Well, one of the things that Lieber's come up with is a cutter. And that's probably the pitch that he's become more accustomed to, retiring left-handed batters. Looks like a fastball, but just a small breaking coming in on the left-handed batters. Easier to elevate that, tie it up above their hands.
1-2 pitch. Mabry spoils it. Hits it out of play. Of course, Jon Lieber, one of the guys that has gone through that Tommy John surgery. Went through that back in 2002. Cubs wanted to keep him, but did not want to guarantee his salary, and the Yankees said, we'll go ahead and do that. So he was off to the Big Apple.
Yeah, that's another byproduct of having that huge payroll.
Swing and a miss, and Mabry strikes out. Cardinals strand 2, and there's no score with the Phillies coming up in the first. Here's a look at the lineup for the Phillies, brought to you by Southwest Airlines. It'll be Rollins, Chavez, Abreu here in the first. Pat Burrell, the cleanup man, then Chase Utley, David Bell, Tomas Perez, Mike Lieberthal, and the pitcher Jon Lieber. The Southwest Airlines starting lineup. Chris Carpenter is on the mound for the Cardinals. His numbers brought to you by Rico. This will be start number 9. Home games, he's 3-2, and on the road, a little bit better, 2-0 with a 2.75 ERA. One of those home games was against the Phillies, and he was roughed up.
Yeah, 3 1/3 innings, 10 hits, 8 earned runs. So if you take that away, his numbers would be even more impressive. So trying to avenge that tough start. Those Phillies have beat up on everybody.
Jimmy Rollins hitting .230. Big curveball from Carpenter for strike 2. The Phillies come in 11th in the National League in batting average at .257. With 3 home runs yesterday, they're now 5th overall with 41 on the year. And a lot of that damage has been done by Bobby Abreu, who we'll see due up 3rd in this inning.
Hit 17 home runs in the last 8 games.
It's pounded foul. Can you believe how many people are making an issue of the play late last night with Albert Pujols near the stands? And people were talking about that here at the ballpark. It was being talked about on talk radio, the fact that the fans reached out and touched Pujols. And now they're saying, well, it's a common thing in baseball when you've got what happened with Giambi and Sheffield at Fenway Park. I'll ask you, Al, I mean, when you were playing, not many games were on TV, and that's what we're talking about last night. And I think that's what adds to it. You probably had incidents, but people didn't hear about it.
Right. And, you know, you didn't have as many people in the stands either. So you didn't have that many opportunities. Rarely do, I think, ball players ever feel threatened.
If ever.
If ever.
Now, J.D. Drew coming back to Philadelphia might have a different perspective on that when batteries were being thrown at him, but that's in the past.
I remember when Dick Allen first came back to Connie Mack, and it was a rainy night, and Leron Lee put on his uniform and stood out of the dugout, came out on the top step and had Dick Allen's uniform on. You think you want to hear a chorus of boos, but I mean, so what? People pay their money, they can say whatever they want, just don't step on the field and don't touch the player.
I think who was it? Jeff Murphy, I think, did that with J.D. Drew's jersey when we came back.
You'd like to think people aren't going to, you know, they could be upset with J.D.'s decision not to sign with the Phillies, and they have that right, but don't throw things.
2-2 on Chavez. Picked up over the weekend from Marlon Byrd. Marlon went to the Nationals, and Chavez came from Washington to the Phillies. Hitting .222, no homers and 2 RBIs. And a 2-2 pitch. Grounded to second from the outfield grass. Gridzelanic, and he makes the play. Let's go around the horn, brought to you by Auto Tire. Look at the Cardinals defense. Mabry, Edmonds, and Walker in the outfield. Nunez, Eckstein, Grudzielanek, and Pujols on the infield. And Yadier Molina behind the plate, the Auto Tire defense.
The Phillies committed 5 errors in last night's game, and the Cardinals won. And the Phillies are now second, or still maintain their second best defensive percentage in the National League, but they now are 3 less errors than the Cardinals. Show you how tight the Cardinal defense has been.
And that middle infield of the Cardinals has really stepped up big time this year. We weren't sure what was going to happen with the losses of Edgar Renteria and Tony Womack, and as we talked about in our open, these two have been terrific. Better than advertised. Old Jocketty was saying that he thought Mark Grudzielanek was going to be a nice defensive player, but he said we didn't realize he was this good as far as range and turning the double play. There were concerns with the arm of David Eckstein, and while it's not the strongest arm in the league, let's not kid ourselves, it's much better than what we were led to believe when he signed with St. Louis.
And it really has not. Maybe 1 or 2 plays, you know, has it even showed up to be an issue. If it's going to be a bang bang play, he finds a way to get there by half a step. He has time. It's really not the strongest throw, but it gets there in time.
Jeff Suppan got the first 2 last night in the first, and then Bobby Abreu took him deep. What will Chris Carpenter do here? Well, it's part of our Ford Key matchup. 10 for 18, Bobby Abreu with a pair of home runs against the Cardinal right-hander. And it's a 2-out walk, just like Jon Lieber did in the top half of this inning. And it brings in Pat Burrell. Burrell had 9 RBIs in that home opening series back in St. Louis against the Cardinals. He was 2 for 4 last night. Average is up to 295, 8 homers and 30 RBIs. He has cooled off quite a bit since that series. Carpenter misses with the fastball low.
Now Carpenter's got to be careful with Abreu, Pat Burrell. Burrell's got 4 career hits against him. 3 of those have been bombs.
Cardinals off to a very good start at 10 games above the 500 mark, leading the Central Division. St. Louis is 24 and 14, and including tonight, Tony La Russa has utilized 32 different lineups in the first 39 games. Outfield is deep and straight away for Burrell. What stands out to me about that is the fact that their bench is sharp. And number 2, no matter who they throw out there, they're getting great starting pitching for the most part.
For the most part, they're doing that. And as we said, you do not want to walk too many guys in this ballpark. Suppan has allowed 6 home runs in the year, 5 of them to Phillies hitters.
Count runs to 3 balls and no strikes on Pat Burrell.
Marquee pitcher tomorrow
against Brett Myers.
See his ERA?
1.63. Yeah. Burrell was swinging away on 3-0.
Now we just lost one of those starting pitchers.
Here comes a 3-1 pitch. Outside, back-to-back walks by Carpenter. So just like Lieber in the top of this inning, Chris Carpenter gets the first 2, walks the next 2. Lieber was then able to strike out John Mabry, and Carpenter will deal with Chase Utley, the second baseman. Utley hitting .287, 7 home runs, 13 RBIs. Ed Wade, the general manager, came out during the offseason and said, all right, this is my guy. He's going to play every day at second base. And Polanco is going to be a utility man. And he's trying to trade Placido, who's very unhappy, has voiced his displeasure about not playing every day with the Phillies.
Well, the problem is he assumed that Polanco was not going to be on the roster. And they really thought the Cardinals were going to pick him up. But he decided to take arbitration, accept arbitration, And then you have an unhappy camper.
1 ball, 1 strike. This guy can hit a little bit.
They're very, very high on his offensive potential. There's Ed Wade. There's John Vukovich right in front of Ed Wade, the general manager. And Mr. Vukovich has some words for Mr. Scott Rowland back in St. Louis. He said, "I've called you twice."
Throw down. There it is again. Molina coming through.
We'll get into that later. We'll let Scott recover.
And some boos for Pat Burrell where he is going. Who knows? With a runner in front of him, and Pujols ducks in behind him, and he's out by a couple of steps. Well, if you're looking for great Cardinals deals for your family, check out the MasterCard Grand Slam ticket back today. When you purchase 4 Terrace Reserve seats, you'll receive 4 hot dogs, 4 Cokes, and 4 Cardinal visors. The value is only $65, and this offer is good for all Tuesday and Thursday home games in 2005, including the Red Sox Tuesday in June. The number to call is 421-2400 or visit STLCardinals.com for more details. Now Raboski alongside Dan McLaughlin with you, and this is Mark Grudzielanek as we start play here in the second. No score.
I was going to say that John Vukovich has called Scott Rowland a couple times to no avail. It's gotten his voicemail. And John says, "Scott, I'm a busy man too. You know, no more calling you." After all the thousands and thousands of ground balls that he hit, Scotty, close friends, and he won't even return a phone call to Vuk.
Dan Held, who was very good friends with Scott Rowland. It's funny you mentioned this. I asked him if he'd talked to Scott.
Won't call him back either. Huh?
Yeah, he said he hadn't heard from him either.
No.
So Grudzielanek strikes out, and that's strikeout number 2 back-to-back for Jon Lieber. That's how we start the top of the second.
Grudzielanek not happy at all with our home plate umpire, Lance Barksdale.
It was a very disappointing year for Ed Wade and the Philadelphia Phillies and their fans. They had a team record payroll of $93 million, moved into this brand new ballpark, and they picked up just their 4th winning season in the last 13 years as Nunez hits it to second base. The last time that the Phillies out were in postseason play was that wild bunch that they had, and it was in 1993. They went to the World Series with Dutch Dalton and Dykstra and John Kruk.
But you know, this team is not as bad. You see Dallas Green in the back row there in the blue, the lighter blue sweater. But you know, it's in a tough division. You don't want to get too far behind Atlanta and Florida. But they're gonna play very well here. But they got to get the bullpen squared away, get Tomey back and hitting.
And it's a base hit for Yadier Molina, the first hit in this ball game for either side. So at least you get Chris Carpenter through the order here in the second. Good effort here by David Bell.
After a terrible night, maybe he decided to short arm it a little bit after making 3 errors last night. And you know, David, very good defensive player. I was surprised when I saw that he had 5 errors coming into yesterday's game and then make 3 more. But a lot of in-between hops.
He's been battling those leg problems, and in particular the back problems, which led to a career high in errors where 20+ a season go. Here's a 1-0 pitch to the Cardinals starter Chris Carpenter. Fouled back. Good cut.
Game within a game. Which one of these starters are going to get their first hit? Carpenter's 0 for 18. Lieber's 0 for 20.
1-1 pitch. Foul tip. Phillies felt that they've had their core coming back this year. Kenny Lofton has been added. Healthy Jim Tomey would be probably 35-40 home runs, and then they add a different manager and a different feeling and outlook with this organization. More relaxed with Larry Boa gone. That's up the middle, and there's the answer to your question. Chris Carpenter, back-to-back singles by the number 8 and 9 spots in the order.
I was hoping that would be my answer.
So Carpenter now is 1 for 19 And it brings in David Eckstein, a very good 2-out hitter. And a very good 2-strike hitter.
You know, David changing leagues, so one of the few times he has a little bit of a relationship with the pitcher.
Who has the advantage, you think, even now with interleague play, where these teams see each other more and more, and free agency adds to this, but where's the advantage lie, with the pitcher or the hitter when you change that league?
Well, I've always felt that it lies with the pitcher, because the pitcher knows what his strengths are. He knows what he's going to attack a hitter with. And, you know, you usually go, your strength is your dominant pitch. Even if it's the strength of the hitter, you still believe your stuff is better than the hitter. So you still go with that. And you know what you want to throw. The hitter's still up there guessing.
Eckstein ahead here, 2 balls and no strikes. Homered last night in the 9th. And takes a high strike, a little inside as well. He didn't like the call.
Tim McCarver and I were talking the other day at Joe Buck's golf tournament. And he was saying it's only been the last 2 or 3 years you ever hear this stuff about a game plan. And it's like, you know, because the pitcher pitches his game. You know, you don't go say, okay, this guy's a good fastball hitter, so I'll throw a pitch I don't have.
Doesn't make any sense.
No.
2-2 the count on Eckstein.
But like everything else, we try to complicate this game. It's relatively a simple game. One thing that George Kissel used to stress was, you know, you see the ball, you hit the ball, you catch the ball, throw ball. Now we've tried to make it so complicated.
2-2 is spoiled by Eckstein. There certainly is a difference in watching a 2-strike hitter that just tries to put the ball in play and doesn't have an aggressive swing to avoid the strikeout. And then there's a guy like David Eckstein who's up there with an aggressive swing, trying to put it in play for a hit. And there is a difference.
David just has a good mental approach every time he goes to the box. And usually is hitting deep into a count.
Takes a pitch outside as the fans wanted that call, and they don't get it. So the count runs full on the Cardinal leadoff man with runners at first and second.
See if he was outside, tails back a little bit, but that clearly was a ball. And Charlie Manuel, you know, this is his first year with the club as the field boss, but he'd been an assistant to Ed Wade for a while.
Runners are going, and it's tapped left side. Bell, a race to the bag, and they got him. Molina off with the pitch, and Bell just beat him to the third base bag. Email the booth. You can email us during our broadcast tonight. Here is the address, foxsports.com on MSN. The keyword is Cardinals booth, and we enjoy getting those emails throughout the country. Look at John Mabry playing left field tonight for the Cardinals. Chase Utley, David Bell, and Tomas Perez for the Phils in their half of the second. No score. Utley was left standing at the plate as Yadier Molina picked off yet another runner. This time Pat Burrell at first, and you got to wonder where he was going with a runner in front of him at second base. Terrible base running. 0-1 pitch. Hit high in the air to right center field. Edmonds over. He'll camp under it. That's the first out in the bottom of the second. And it brings in David Bell. David, a tough night last night with 3 errors, and he's starting to hear some boos after a pretty good couple of seasons to start his Phillies career, but injuries have curtailed that.
That doesn't help in a very tough media town like Philadelphia. And of course, now all these papers have to, the talk shows have to put out these poll questions, and one today was, you know, who should be the odd man out, Polanco, Bell, or Utley? You know, 2 of them can play second and third, so who should be the odd man out? And then I'm sure after David makes 3 errors last night, his name was prominent in some of that discussion.
David, whose father Buddy played for the Indians, the Rangers, the Reds, and their grandfather, his grandfather, and Buddy's dad, Gus, also in the major leagues. Delana can't come up with it. infield hit for Bell. So 1-out hit for the Phillies. Their first hit tonight against Chris Carpenter. This week, baseball returns to Fox for another year of historical moments from some of the game's biggest stars and showdowns between the fiercest rivals in all of sports. Incredible moments that turn players into legends. Fox Saturday Baseball back at it again this weekend. Noon on Fox. It's the White Sox and the Cubs. Interleague play is here already. And here could be a double play. Eckstein will take it himself. Double play. So that infield hit by Bell is erased after the double play off the bat of Perez. We head to the third.
In Fox Sports Net.
This state baseball history brought to you by Schnucks. Big Mac moves into 8th place on the all-time list with 3 home runs against the Phillies. McGuire ended the game with 539 career home runs. May 18th of 2000. The state baseball history brought to you by Schnucks. And the leadoff man for the Cardinals, top of the third, will be Larry Walker, followed by Pujols and Edmonds. No score between these two teams. Phillies have taken 3 of 4 between the two clubs so far in 2005. First pitch, a fastball up and into Walker.
Larry Walker, good success against Lieber. Grounded out the first time.
Larry grounded to first his first time up, and now it's 3-0 on Walker. Shift on the infield, room into left center field for Larry. As Lieber steps off the mound to take his time. That's strike one. Lieber signed as a free agent in the offseason. Was solid for the Yankees in his first full season since 2002. Coming back from Tommy John surgery on his right elbow. Ball 4, third walk handed out by Lieber. Let's take a look at the windup here of Jon Lieber.
Now the old-fashioned, you kind of see everything really kind of calm back, sits on that back leg, and kind of really drives down and goes forward towards home plate. And then a fairly stiff front leg comes over the top of. Really kind of a little bit of a jumpy, herky-jerky.
Ball inside Albert Pujols, and here come the control problems again with Jon Lieber. He walked Pujols his first time up on 4 straight. Then he would walk Edmonds after getting the first 2 in the first inning. So he walked 2 back-to-back and then struck out Mabry to end the first. He has 2 strikeouts and 3 walks in this game and has allowed 2 hits, and already that pitch total is up to 44, and we're only in the third.
Just to tell you what it's like, last year with, he pitched 1 game with Tampa Bay, 7 innings. He didn't walk anybody. Then he went to 27 starts with the Yankees and 176 more innings. He only walked 18. So 18 for the entire season. 180 plus innings.
One ball, 1 strike on Albert Pujols. Pulls it foul. And he's in the hole, 1-2, and a nice play made down there. Bring your glove, make a play.
Yeah, but when you make the catch, act like you know you got it. He was looking around for it.
Look what I found.
And then finally he looked in his glove and saw that he caught it. Shocked him.
1-2 pitch to Albert. Outside, 2-2. Larry Walker, the runner at first. We play with no score here in the top of the third. Gorgeous night for baseball here in Philadelphia. Perfect temperatures. Very pleasant. Albert rips it into deep left field. Goodbye. 2-run home run for Albert Pujols. His 10th home run. He's tied now with Reggie Sanders for the team lead. And it's RBIs number 32 and 33 for Albert Pujols. 2-0 St. Louis.
That's the 11th home run that Lieber has surrendered this year. Lieber, like he went down and got it. Almost hits down one knee. As that back knee gets so low to the ground, but he just got the leverage to drive that ball deep into the left center.
Here's Edmonds trying to go back-to-back, and he swings through a ball upstairs for strike one. Albert Pujols now 10 home runs, and he came in 4th in that department, and now he is tied for the team lead. Came in 4th overall in the National League. He also came in 4th in RBIs, so he's on the rise. He's also in the top 10 in batting average.
Those hands, look at the wrist, go through.
A pretty follow through too with the swing. I think he knew he got it, Al.
I think he did.
Edmonds strikes out on a backdoor breaking ball. Strikeout number 3 for the Phillies right-hander.
Trying to get these fans to throw that home run ball back. Of course, it's everyone yelling doesn't have the ball.
It's a souvenir, man.
Keep it.
You can say one day I caught a home run off the bat of a future Hall of Famer, right?
Say it right now. The way Albert's career is gone.
First pitch was inside to John Mabry. 1 ball, 1 strike. Mabry struck out with 2 runners on back in the first, as the Cardinals have struck first here tonight. Jammed again a little bit. High inside delivery.
I was talking with Charlie Manuel today about how a lot of guys pitch inside. You know, and he's ahead in the count here, but they pitch inside on 3-0, 3-1 counts where you have to throw a strike. And that just isn't something we used to do. And he was talking about, as Mabry strikes out for the second time, how.
Hold on that thought, Al. May 29th, the Cardinals take on the Nationals, 1:15. You can bring the kids. Ice Cream Sunday, Kansas City Life Card Set Day at the ballpark.
He was talking about how everybody says they pound Tommy inside, which they do, but and I'd say you should be happy with that, because it's the shortest part of the ballpark down the lines here, and he's agreed with me that people do not have the ability to consistently go in there. They may strike him out once, but he'll get them once too with the long ball.
Charlie Manuel, of course, was the hitting instructor, batting coach with the Cleveland Indians for a long time, so he saw Jim Thome put a bunch in the seats in the American League, and then of course now here in Philadelphia seeing it. That's past the diving Jimmy Rollins and a single up the middle for Gritzelanek.
And he managed those Cleveland Indians also.
2-out hit for Mark Gritzelanek.
Been over here in Philadelphia since he was terminated. Worked behind the scenes as a special assistant to Ed Wade. And not that he was lurking in the background, but you knew the volatile Larry Boa at some point probably would be terminated, and it was I think a lot of people felt that the logical choice was going to be Charlie.
Here's Abraham Nunez, switch hitter that is playing third base tonight. What a versatile, very good find this guy has been for the Cardinals so far. Came in hitting .345.
How about his success against Lieber also?
Hit a home run against him earlier this season. 10
for 23 coming in with that home run, a .435 average. And what a pleasant guy to be around. Just a great attitude.
Safe to say that we had no idea what we were getting in Abraham Nunez, both as a person and as a player.
I think Walt Jockney and Tony La Russa had a pretty good idea with the recommendation of Jim Leland and also Dave Stewart, his agent.
And to take it a step further, Dave McKay, the Cardinal first base coach, he says he gets to know some of these players throughout the league by standing over there and visiting with some of the first basemen, and he said that they had rave reviews about the man at the plate, Abraham Nunez, from his teammates in Pittsburgh, as he had a chance to visit with some of them. So they went on those 3 recommendations and signed Abraham Nunez. And here he is hitting darn near 350.
And I think the one thing you find too is you get a guy like this who's been in a losing situation, you bring him to baseball heaven. You know, the environment, the team, the professionalism of the players, and if there's some good qualities in a person, they're going to really blossom with this team and teammates.
Starts with the core of Scott Rowland and Edmonds, Pujols, and how these players fit in. A lot of it is a direct reflection on what they see with the leadership of this team, and the general manager and the manager.
And let's don't kid ourselves. The guys that are here for a reason. And weeded out a few people, but everybody buys into Tony's, work ethic. And the one thing that Tony and his staff, they demand a lot, but they give even more back.
That's ball 4 to Nunez, so a 2-out walk. How about this? 4 walks by Jon Lieber. A guy that hardly walks anybody. At least that was the case prior to this season. And now it's Molina, who singled back in the 2nd inning. So the Cardinals have had 2 walks in the inning and 2 hits. And Molina takes this one into deep left field. And it's the 2nd home run in this inning. And it's 5-0 Cardinals. Yadier Molina with his first home run in 2005. Pujols has gone deep. Molina has gone deep. And it's 5-0 Cardinals.
You're going to find him for taking a swing at the first pitch?
Well, we're only in the 3rd, Al.
Now you see breaking ball, but look where it ends up. A hanging breaking ball right up in his eyes, and if you hit it that hard, you can do whatever you want with it.
Fans again wanting the person that caught that baseball to throw back the souvenir.
Happy dugout right now, but a lot of playing, a lot of game left, so important for those guys to have some fun, but for Carpenter to really knuckle down and concentrate and do the job he's been doing.
Molina, a 3-run homer to make it 5-0, and that's a hard hit ball to second, taken by Utley. The Cardinals plate 5 on 2 home runs. The first one, number 10 off the bat of Albert Pujols, a no-doubter. Then after a single and a walk, Molina went deep. 5-0 St. Louis. Of Cardinal baseball on FSN Midwest, brought to you by Advance Auto Parts. We're ready in advance. By Aflac, ask about it at work. And by Rico, how well do you print, copy, scan, fax? How well do you share? Pair of home runs for the Cardinals. At the top of the 3rd, now they lead it by the score of 5-0. They've out-hit the Phillies 5-1. It's Lieberthal, then Jon Lieber, the pitcher, and Jimmy Rollins, the leadoff man. And with his 2nd at bat last night, Mike Lieberthal picked up a $7.5 million option as he hit a certain clause in his contract that kicks in for next year.
Coming in this year, he had to have 110 plate appearances. So, barring a significant injury, he was going to make that clause. That kicked in the option year. Former #1 draft pick back in 1990, and he has 10+ full seasons in the big leagues, parts of 12 years. He's been with the Phillies. No, he's been with Philadelphia longer than any other athlete in this city. And because of that serious knee injury he had a couple years ago, he's not quite the same player.
Looks at a curveball and a call, 3rd strike. Nasty pitch there from Chris Carpenter, and that's his 2nd strikeout this evening.
And the ball just looked like it sat there, and then all of a sudden the bottom fell out of it. See the curveball? Look at that tight spin, and look at how it just drops. 12-6, you just drop a straight line, and he just dropped Lieberthal.
Jerry Bennett would like to know on our email about the World Cup that's being proposed in Major League Baseball. was a little concerned over the fact that some of the game's biggest stars will not be in attendance at spring training. I'll take it a step further. I'm concerned not so much about that, but about injury as Lieber lines it foul. What that would consist of, it's called the World Baseball Classic. It would have 16 teams. They would play in Japan, Latin America, and the United States. And it'd be at the start of spring training. And there's another strikeout for Carpenter, the second in this inning and third in this game. And with those three sites in mind, they would split up the 16 teams depending where the players are from, the Dominican, Japan, United States, whatever the case may be, and then play in this world tournament. But now you've got guys that use spring training as a way to get ready for the regular season, and physically they're not in shape to play. That's pretty well hit. Edmonds on the move. Near the track, near the wall. He leaps, and did he get it? He's done it again. Another great catch by Edmonds out in center field. A remarkable play. Oh, what a play by Jim Edmonds. And even the fans here in Philadelphia are applauding an opposing player. Look at the catch by Edmonds. Another amazing catch by the Cardinals center fielder sends us into the fourth inning in the top of the order. And David Eckstein, as Jim Edmonds was slow to get up as he made this play. Another tremendous play by the 7-time Gold Glover in center field, Jim Edmonds. He has won a Gold Glove every single season since 2000 when he joined the St. Louis Cardinals and the National League. And there's Barry Weinberg looking over that foot of Edmonds.
There's a couple things in that play. The way he twisted his wrist, backhanded the ball, so to speak, and then you run into the screen, and you know, it looked like a chain link fence. So there is some play, and at some point your head came pretty close to contact with the top railing of it.
The thing that stands out to me, Al, is the fact that this is only his fourth game in a very unfamiliar ballpark, and just trying to know the nooks and crannies out there in center as Bell makes the play to his left. That's another facet of the catch.
Well, you've got to know, and as Jim told in the pregame show, he talked about how, you know, he'll go out, but watch how the fence gives, and then you kind of crash into those shoulders and everything, but he holds on to it. And watch where his wrist is. I mean, how do you have that control? And you see him trying to re-grab it in his glove, get it more into the fist, and then hit the fence all at the same time and cuddle it, cradle it to make sure it doesn't fall out. But you know, that's part of the responsibility. You come out here, and he said he throws balls against the wall, see how it caroms. You go out there and you step off a little bit, see how it is out in left center. They say if that ball gets out in left center, 385 to 409, it's got to be into the seats to be a home run. And if it can hit above that Luke Oil sign out there in left center, above the Luke Oil sign out in left center, it can carry him. It goes right up here. It can carry him back towards the, you know, the Turkey Hill sign. You know, the right fielder has to go out there and retrieve that ball, as it can carry him out of there, and it's still in play.
Regardless, what a catch.
Yeah, I mean, outstanding.
2-2 pitch.
And what about the World Cup?
Yeah, forget that. Let's move on to Edmonds. No, but you agree with me, though, on that?
Well, I
guys
think
could get hurt.
I think it's going to be interesting to see. And sure, it's going to be an honor to be selected, but I think there's going to be a lot of guys turn it down.
In particular, I would imagine pitchers. Long throw for Jimmy Rollins, and they just get Walker by a step. 2 up, 2 down. Here in the top of the fourth, we turn to the Aflac trivia question, with Albert Pujols set to dig in, who are the last 2 Cardinals to finish first and second in the MVP voting. And last year you had your choice of Scott Rowland, Albert Pujols, or Jim Edmonds as far as your Cardinal MVP.
But they went 3, 4, and 5, right? So it'd have to be first and second.
As Albert chops it foul. Very interesting article, and well done by Bernie Miklasz, comparing the start and maybe the career of Albert Pujols to that of Hank Aaron, and that's exactly what Lou Brock was saying. He'd be a Hank Aaron type player. As Pujols gets underneath this one, that'll stay in the ballpark. Down to center field. Chavez is there, and the Cardinals go 1-2-3 midway through the fourth. And the Phillies will have Chavez, Abreu, and Pat Burrell coming up. All St. Louis so far. Any guesses, partner, as far as our Aflac trivia question?
No.
Let it rip. Here we go. Cepeda and McCarver back in 1967. The curveball to Chavez for strike one. Grounded to second his first time up. Be Chavez, Abreu, and Pat Burrell. Speaking of MVPs, and we were talking about Albert Pujols, you think about Hank Aaron, one MVP in 23 years, and Pujols in many ways, and just about every player, has been overshadowed by Barry Bonds the last few seasons with the kind of years that he's put together. But I thought it was a well done article by Bernie, and a neat comparison to think about some of the all-time greats and how he looked at it.
Just how he's been shut out. He's had such terrific years, but doesn't have one yet. And you know, I mean, you look at Aaron, never hit 50 home runs, never really hit monster shots at all. They were just line drives.
And the basis of the article is more or less to take a look at comparing him and where he might be as far as an overall player, not looking at getting to 755, as this one is chopped towards the first base line. That's a lot of spin, a lot of English on that baseball. It rolls foul. A 3-2 count on Chavez. But if you're going to talk about 755 and the next guy to have a shot, if you look ahead, you know, Alex Rodriguez comes to mind. It was Ken Griffey Jr. for all those years, and this is barring major injury where you're missing a lot of time. But I mean, you'd have to look at an Albert Pujols, but to put it in perspective, what he'd have to do, 40 home runs the next 15 seasons, minimum 40 home runs for 15 more years, just to have a shot.
Well, but that's not, I mean, that's realistic in today's bandboxes. Somebody's gonna have that opportunity.
And he's a young guy too.
Right, but that's why they say, you know, we may never see another 300 winner, 300 game winner from the pitchers.
I guess the only guys that have a shot there would be Randy Johnson and Tom Glavine, both with outside shots. Three and 2 the count on Chavez. Cardinals lead it by the score of 5-0. Pair of home runs by Albert Pujols and Yadier Molina. 2-run shot by Albert, and Molina's first of the season, a 3-run home run. All the scoring done in the third inning. Hit again to the right side. Gritzelanic over to Pujols for the first out. And it brings in Bobby Abreu. I bet you're just like me, and when you think about some of the great players in the game of baseball, this guy does not get the respect he deserves. I mean, Abreu has put up pretty good numbers for a long time now.
He is one of those guys that you know, continues to really impress the people that are around the game, but as you say, on a national scale, probably not.
2 up, 2 down, and it brings in Pat Burrell.
About the job that Carpenter's doing, containing these left-handed bats, figuring out what to do to them, but also getting the ground balls that we talked about. In an explosive ballpark, you've got to keep the ball on the ground, and to this point, he's doing an outstanding job. The one hit they had was an infield hit.
Burrell walked his first time up. It was an infield hit back in the second inning by David Bell. Carpenter has struck out 3 on the night. And he goes 1 ball 1 strike on Burrell, who bounced back from a Just a miserable season in 2003 when he was trying just to get above the 200 batting average mark. Finished with just 9 home runs. But then the following season, last year at 257, 24 homers and 84 RBIs.
I need to talk to Hal McRae and say, what do you see Pat Burrell now that when you saw him earlier, you know, in his career? I don't think he had him in the first year when he was a very productive hitter. And I'm not sure if he was around for the sophomore slump.
Was Hal McRae from that Charlie Lau school of hitting. The 3-1 pitch. Defensive swing, and it's foul. Ball just exploded in on his hands, and it's a full count. Tony La Russa was saying that Charlie Lau is the biggest innovator in the game of baseball in the last 25 years. Pretty high praise from Tony La Russa.
You know, but as Hal will tell you, there's not one way for every player.
4 strikeouts on the night for Chris Carpenter. A 1, 2, 3, 4th. We head to the 5th. Edmonds, Mabry, Grizzolata coming up. Hardy's hot pitch of the game. Chris Carpenter coming back against Pat Burrell after falling behind 3 balls and a strike. Al.
See right there, it gets him to look. His 4th strikeout of the night, and 3 of those 4 were called strikes.
That guy's going to be up all night. He's mowing down that cotton candy.
Invented by a dentist.
Thinking the same thing. That's going to be a little rough on his choppers.
Liquid sugar, spun sugar, right?
That's right. Edmonds has made that great catch out in center field. He struck out looking. That was back in the 3rd. Didn't like the call. And he walked in the 1st. And he looks at a ball. Is there a better defensive center fielder in the game of baseball than this guy?
Well, I'll take him over Andruw Jones, but
I would too.
Couldn't argue with him. Now Beltran put a 3rd outstanding center fielder. Might just have to give the Gold Glove to those 3 every year.
For a while in the National League, it was Steve Finley. That was before King Griffey Jr. came to the National League, and then Edmonds as well. That was back in 2000. And it's good to see Jr. finally healthy this year and starting to come around, starting to put up some pretty good numbers.
Baseball needs every one of their stars. The injuries will happen, but you want to see them all play.
The 3-1. Edmonds going with the pitch to left field. Said prior to the game he was trying to do that more. Let's take a look at the night for Jimmy. And this is the catch off the bat of Jimmy Rollins. That was back in the 3rd. An unbelievable play by Edmonds. See there how his wrist was turned and he crashed into the wall, and now this base hit, a solid piece of hitting by Edmonds. And the 2nd time that he has been on base tonight. This is a guy that was not supposed to play in this series.
You have a responsibility to your teammates and your fans and everything. So the first step of playing is to want to play. And obviously Jimmy wanted to play in this series, and saw he can get base hits. He can also take extra base hits away.
On base 3 times last night, and on base a couple of times, and then that great catch in center. And now it's Mabry, who's had a tough night. He struck out twice. We have seen them go up and in on John Mabry tonight.
Just tack him inside, and the best he's been able to do at this point is foul it off.
A swinging bunt that will advance the runner to 2nd. And a wild throw by Lieberthal. Edmonds on his way to 3rd base, and Mabry moves up to 2nd. And the Boo Birds are out.
And John about 6'4", and that swinging bunt. Lieberthal goes out there. He's got that bad knee, but if you watch from this angle, it takes him a long time to get to the ball, and by that time he's throwing it into the runner, and so the first baseman really can't see around John Mabry,
Kind of slung the ball too instead of being on top of it, and it just took off. It tailed away from the first baseman Perez and down the right field line, and now it's an opportunity for Mark Grudzielanek, and that's the 6th error in a game and a half now for the Phils against St. Louis. That's their 21st team error, and they came into the ball game second in the National League in fielding percentage.
Mark not happy with the strike zone earlier. Didn't like that call. Got a base hit his last time up. The infield drawn in.
Base hit could make it 7-0 Cardinals. And this one is popped up behind the Phillies dugout, a couple of rows, and a souvenir.
Dan, you talk about you know, Edmonds not supposed to play in this series, and then he comes out and plays. The fun of competing is to know that you can compete and do well against the best in the world when you're not 100%. And if you're going to be an athlete and you're going to wait and only play when you're 100%, you might as well start shutting it down during the regular season, because you're already probably stiff and sore from spring training.
Yep. He's not getting any younger either.
No, but it's fun to compete. You know, when you're not, you know, you're not at your best, you can still go out there, and sometimes you relax more. You don't try and do too much, and you have some of your better days.
And the bullpen now active as Geary, a right-hander for the Phils, is getting loose. Just like the Cardinals, the Phillies have 4 right-handers out there and then 3 lefties, and that includes Fultz, a specialist guy, along with Real Cormier, who was warming up in the ball game last night, and one of the best closers all time, and Billy Wagner out there.
There's Billy the Kid. Got save number 256 last night.
And number 10 of the season.
Matson, have confidence in. Cormier.
Ball gets away, but the runners will not advance. And it's 2-2.
Phillies came into last night's game with the 2nd highest ERA of any National League relief corps. Chavez playing pretty shallow and swung around a bit to the right.
I mean, that's not even as shallow as Edmonds will play.
But big gap out in left center.
Get one over his head, too. That's up the middle, and that's a base hit. 1 run will score, and Mabry will stop at third base as the throw is cut off, and now the Cardinals have added to this lead. Another RBI for Grudzielanek, their 7th hit this evening, and St. Louis leads it by the score of 6-0.
16 RBIs for Grudzielanek, and looks like Charlie Manuel's going to tell Lieber that's enough for tonight. Fails reporting out here in the 5th.
That's it for Lieber. Geary will come in, the right-hander for the Phils. 6-0 St. Louis. This copyrighted telecast is presented by authority of the St. Louis Cardinals LLC. It may not be reproduced or retransmitted in any form, and the accounts and descriptions of the game may not be disseminated without the express written consent of the St. Louis Cardinals LLC. A rough outing for Jon Lieber. 4 innings. He pitches into the 5th, cannot record an out, as Abraham Nunez will dig in with runners at 1st and 3rd. What's on tap, brought to you by Budweiser, will come your way early tomorrow. Jim Hayes will have our pregame show at 11:30. We'll come your way with the play-by-play at noon. It's the Cards and Phils, and we hope to see the rubber match between these two teams, as the Cardinals trying to get back on their winning ways after dropping game 1. Lead it here 6-0, and this is Geary against Nunez. What do we know about Jeff Geary?
Well, he did some good pitching at the end of the season. He split time between AAA and the big leagues, and now they're going to check on John Mabry out there. See what's wrong with John.
Had a hamstring problem earlier this season, but he didn't aggravate that as he was held up rounding 3rd by Jose Oquendo. He waves everybody off. He says, "I'm fine." And here's a chance for Abraham Nunez, who walked and scored on the home run. That's going to score a run. And they can only get one out. So Nunez picks up his 10th RBI. Mabry scores. And it's 7-0 Cardinals. Little chopper off the bat of Nunez. And Mabry scores easily. And it brings in Molina, who's 2 for 2. With a 3-run home run, his first homer of the season, and a single back in the second inning. Strike one on the Cardinal catcher. We thought this was going to be a pitcher's duel here tonight with Jon Lieber and Chris Carpenter. That has not materialized on the one side.
One side it has, and the other side
it has not. That's a ground ball to Bell. Hits Perez right in the chest with the throw. That's 2 outs. And here's Chris Carpenter. Now with a 7-run lead here, Al.
Well, just go out and just pitch the way he's been pitching. Just in your mind, you think you've got a 1-run game. Don't look at that scoreboard. Just pitch the game you've been pitching. Tight one.
Jeff Geary, this pitcher, will turn 29 in late August. He is from Buffalo, New York.
He resides in El Cajon, California. Here you see a ball take off on him.
Selected by the Phillies in the 15th round back in the draft of '98. Swing and a miss by Carpenter. He picked up his first hit of the season. Back in the second, he is now 1 for 20 on the year. Saw some time with the Phillies back in 2003, just 5 games. He appeared in 33 games a season ago.
Pitched well in his last 12 appearances. ERA under 2. Started the season at AAA. Got recalled in mid-April.
Fastball on the outside corner. 2 balls, 2 strikes. Cardinals tomorrow in that game will have Jason Marquis against Brent Myers. And the record not indicative of just how well Myers has thrown this year. He's 3-2, but his ERA is under 2 at 1.63, and they say he has finally learned how to pitch, and he's got that great live fastball, tremendous stuff, but he's now pitching instead of throwing. We'll see it firsthand tomorrow. Here's a 3-2 pitch. Up and into Carpenter as he hits the deck. Slowly gets up. He's all right. And this guy has no idea where this ball is going.
See that ball just taking off. Of course, Carpenter looking for something out over the plate. Almost walked into it.
So runners at first and second for the Cardinal leadoff man, David Eckstein. David, of course, 2 for 5 last night. He is 0 for 3 this evening. We talked about Eckstein and Gritzelanic being a very good double play combination so far. Eckstein has turned a double play himself tonight. So they have been a part of coming into tonight's play, and including tonight, 37 double plays in 38 games.
Saw that runners in scoring position. He ranks 3rd in the NL with a .458 batting average with runners in scoring position.
Room into left center field for Eckstein. We have seen he's been able to pull some balls. Not a real imposing figure, obviously, when you look at him, but you try to go inside. He's got the quickness with his bat to get around on those pitches.
Why would you think with this pitcher he'd be hitting with the count in his favor?
Well, he just walked the number 9 man in the order, and he's gone 3-0 on David Eckstein, and this crowd is a little bit restless here in Philly.
Now they go to that bullpen, and when you go to virtually anyone's bullpen early in the game, you're going to get into gasoline alley.
These crowds here in this city have mastered the art of the boo. There's the encouraging boo. There's the I'm upset boo.
And there's the Phillies boo.
What's this one?
This one, I boo Santa Claus.
So back-to-back walks after Geary got Nunez to ground out. That allowed a run to score. And then Molina to ground out. Now he has walked Chris Carpenter and David Eckstein, and it brings in Larry Walker. And here we are with the bases loaded.
And sometimes pitching coaches go out there and say, you know, listen to me. You walk the pitcher. You walk a leadoff guy with not much power to bring up a 3-time batting champion. Behind him, you know, Albert Pujols is going to win how many batting champions, but you got just outstanding hitters up. Why don't you just make yourself easy? Just throw strikes.
2004, last year, Geary was hit hard by left-handed batters. A .326 clip. He allowed 5 home runs. And the first pitch is a fastball for a strike. He was a starting pitcher the first 3 years of his pro career, but he came out of the bullpen most of the time in 2001, and this is the role that he prefers. Larry tonight has grounded to short, grounded to first, walked and scored on the 2-run homer by Albert Pujols. Cardinals picked up 5 in the 3rd, 2 more here in the top of the 5th, and lead it 7-0.
Larry setting him up, taking those first 2 strikes.
Bases loaded for Larry Walker. Ball outside. Cardinal right fielder hit a couple of grand slams last year, and you can see that they have shaded Walker to pull the baseball all series long. They go inside, and it's 2-2. He does not want to go 3-2 with the bases loaded, and Larry Walker at the plate.
A lot of guys feel that Larry getting the latter stages of his career, maybe even retire after this year, he can work him inside.
And a swing and a foul tip held on to by Lieberthal. Cardinals strand 3, pick up 2 more. 7-zip St. Louis. This portion of Cardinal baseball on FSN Midwest brought to you by Jack in the Box. Jack invites you to come in and experience ciabatta. It's all about the bread. And by your local Chrysler Jeep dealers. Tony La Russa out to have a word with our home plate umpire, Lance Barksdale. And he has not made a switch.
Well, you wonder if he's trying to make a replacement for Mabry.
And Mabry has moved out to left field as if nothing's wrong.
Here,
remember, they checked on him.
Taguchi's going to replace him now.
Okay, so that's it for Mabry. Cardinals aren't going to take any chances up by 7 runs with John Mabry, as he was attended to as he rounded third base and said he was okay in the top half of this inning. Went back out there here in the bottom half and then has been lifted for So Taguchi. Mabry's night is through as he struck out a couple of times and reached on an error.
To save a little energy, he's got his family on the trip.
It's a big family.
It's a big family.
Utley, Bell, and Perez, as Carpenter spins one in there for a strike. Good curveball. Chase Utley hitting .357, 5 for 14 against the Cardinals this year. Overall at .284.
It's 3 for 17 on this homestand. Now Carpenter trying to get together with Molina.
Guys from MLB Radio were here today, and they asked me about the leaders of the Cardinals, and I mentioned Chris Carpenter. I started thinking about some of the guys that helped him along, and remember last year he was telling me that Pat Henkin was one of those guys in Toronto, and Woody Williams was in Toronto when he first arrived on the scene.
Sure.
But he said that Pat Henkin was the guy that really took him under his wing and guided him through his first couple of big league seasons. And Woody and Henkin have jerseys signed that hang in the office of Tony La Russa back at Busch Stadium.
Leaders help him out and stuff. Saw Molina when trying to get together. He went and put his knuckles on the chalk, try and help the pitcher out to see.
So maybe they are communicating, but he just can't see it.
Right. And I saw Mabry sitting on the bench, so he wasn't getting any medical attention.
Taguchi will be tested. His first play in this ball game, and he catches that out off the bat of Chase Utley. Baseball fans, every Friday night on FSN Midwest, tune in to the FSN Baseball Report. It's an in-depth look at the biggest stories throughout Major League Baseball. The FSN Baseball Report, Friday at 6 on FSN Midwest. So this Friday, you tune in, you get the report at 6. Cardinals tonight at 6:30, and then we'll come your way from Kansas City with the play-by-play at 7. Mark Mulder will get that start on Friday night against Zach Greinke, who was 0-4, but he's an entertaining guy to watch.
Good ERA.
Just over 3, and he's playing with a bad team.
Right. So in that report, you know, that's a pretty good trip around the league, isn't it?
Oh, that covering the bases segment is one of the best I've seen. So you don't want to miss it at 6 o'clock. And the FSN Baseball Report. 1 ball, 1 strike on David Bell. And he pulls it fair past Nunez and into the corner. So David Bell is 2 for 2 with a single and now a double. And David Bell, the only 2 hits tonight for the Phillies against Chris Carpenter.
First legitimate hit out into the outfield, and Nunez gives it a good try right there. Well hit right over the bag, playing off the line. David's first hit was a hit right up the middle where Grizzlonic knocked it down right on the edge of the grass, but had no play at first.
Well, Walt Jocketty really took a chance with Chris Carpenter as Perez digs in. He's 0 for 1. He hit into a double play back in the second, started by David Eckstein. It was in 2002. He's coming off injury, and the Cardinals signed him to a 1-year contract. And they chose the $200,000 buyout on his contract for 2004 than rather than pick up the option for $2 million. So Chris became a free agent, but a month later he signed on with the Cardinals because the Cardinals had faith in him, and he wanted to reward the franchise for giving him a chance.
He knew that they took his interest ahead of postseason.
And a ground ball to second base. Grizzlonic is there for out number 2.
And last year when he had that little nerve problem, some organization may have forced him to try and pitch. And you know, Chris, you know, definitely probably would have liked to, but they decided to make sure that they were not responsible for hurting somebody, so they took the very conservative approach. It eventually went away, but you got to give Dr. Paletta a lot of credit too.
Sure do.
And he gives you know, have some of these potential free agents come in, or you know, does a study or work up on them. You know, they pretty much know, okay, we can repair this, we can take care of this, everything looks good. And that's been a big part of some of those decision makings, is the medical work that Dr. Paletta and his staff, how they work hand in hand with Walt.
Calculated risk that has paid off for the Cardinals. And you go back to the deal that Walt Jocketty pulled off, Ray King and J.D. Drew deal, and Jason Marquis coming to St. Louis, and King has been a vital part to the bullpen the last year and a half. Obviously the Cardinals are getting some terrific starts from Marquis. We'll see tomorrow. He's 5-2, really coming into his own. J.D. Drew's playing with the Dodgers.
And there's another strikeout.
Lieberthal strikes out. That's number 5 tonight. Don't go anywhere. Pujols is coming up when we come back. We get so many emails wanting to know about the guys in the truck. Well, there they are. Doug Stanton and Lindsey Polite all coming out to do a dance for us. Our Bud Sports crew, we appreciate them. Great work as they head back to the truck. We've got Singular Wireless Night coming up at Busch. There's Tom Mee coming up at Busch Stadium. Second in a series of 3 pins commemorating Sportsman's Park. Current Busch Stadium and the future home of the Cardinals, the new Busch Stadium. 421-2400 or STLCardinals.com for information on that promotional night. You missed all the excitement, Al. You had to go away and get yourself a Coke, and now you've missed the dancing and all the fun. That's just back to baseball.
I've seen those guys dance.
This afternoon after lunch?
Yeah, I saw them working out.
You were pretty impressed, huh?
That's why I left.
Pujols is homered tonight. 1 ball, 1 strike. Second inning of work for Geary. Albert gets underneath this one. Pops it up into shallow left field. Foul territory. And the third baseman, David Bell, puts it away. So Pujols has walked. He's homered. He's flied to center and popped out to the third baseman. And the batter is Jim Edmonds. If you're just joining us, you've missed a highlight reel catch by Edmonds in center field. Took a hit away, extra bases from Jimmy Rollins. And you wonder if he doesn't come up with that catch, where Rollins might end up with his great speed, depending on how that ball would carry him off the wall. Edmonds into left center field. Well hit, has a chance. It's near the wall, it's off the wall, and it's misplayed by Pat Burrell. And boos raining down on Burrell out there.
We've talked about it, how you've got to know your own ballpark and know the nooks and crannies. Watch Burrell. He's tippy-toeing there.
Oh.
And instead of going to the wall, it's a high towering fly ball. He changes direction right there a little bit and just shied away from the carom. Get to that wall, locate the ball, and recover. Chavez did a nice job to back up the play. Hold Edmonds just to the double.
A gift for Jimmy. And that ball was well hit, but it's got to be caught. Here's So Taguchi now. Breaking ball taken low and away for ball 1. Fastball, pop foul, out of play. For the versatile So Taguchi, play all 3 outfield positions. Came up as a second baseman in Japan.
Look at those. The RBIs that he has. He's batting .364 with runners in scoring position. Limited play off the bench, but a lot of good RBI situations, and has come through.
It's remarkable the transition that he has made to playing here in the United States, playing in the major leagues, from where he started a few years ago. Thought there was no chance. Now you feel like he's comfortable out there and that you have a chance to win. He's going to contribute. You know what you're getting defensively, but he has become not just an average player, but an asset offensively, because he's so fundamentally sound as far as advancing runners, getting behind the runner, bunting.
And he just plays the game the right way. Discipline is a big part of Japanese culture.
It's behind the runner here, hits it to second. Dancing on the play, Edmonds from second to third. There's 2 outs, and it brings in Gritzelanek. All right, we'll take a look at the pitch by pitch. The feature is brought to you by your Mid-America Chevrolet dealers. It's Geary and So Taguchi.
Breaking ball down and away. Here comes the fastball. Couldn't catch up to it. Another fastball up high, little action. Then rifles that one to right field. Breaking ball that was up, but a productive out as he advanced Edmonds to third base.
Gritzelanek stays away from a high delivery. The ball 1. Collected career hit number 1,500. And a 2-for-4 effort last night. And the Cardinals have had, including Gritzelanek, 3 players reach that milestone this year. Edmonds, Sanders, and now Gritzelanek. Lines this one into center. Chavez on the move, and he won't get it. Over his head. And a 1-hopper off the wall, and a 2-out RBI double by Mark Gritzelanek. That's his second RBI on the night.
his third hit, and he leads the team in 3 hits or more. And also he is amongst the league leaders in that department. He was tied for second with 3 hit games. He picks up another one here tonight over the head of Chavez. Nearly bounced over the wall. The Cardinals just have a little fun.
As Nunez pops it up, is there a play for Lieberthal near the Cardinal dugout? There is. He makes it. Cardinals straying the man. They have left 8 on tonight, but they have plated 8. 9 hits tonight. All St. Louis. Bottom of the 6th, Cardinals lead it by 8 runs. There's a look at Matt Morris, who is now 3-0. And it was probably the best we've seen him pitch in the last year or so. Sunday afternoon, 7 2/3 against the Mets. And you mix him in to this rotation, which has really come together in 2005 with the addition of Mulder and a healthy Chris Carpenter. Marquis back for another year. Jeff Suppan obviously normally is going to give you quality starts, barring last night, and a healthy Matt Morris, and this rotation is one of the best in baseball.
Well, Matt's ERA is under 3 now, and you've got 3 5-game winners, 2 3-game winners. And you say Matt could have won virtually every one of his starts, as he's pitched well. Carpenter trying to set the tone right here. It's Dave Duncan looking on.
Pinch hitter is Jose Offerman with a count of 2 balls and 1 strike to close the book on Geary. He allows 1 run in his 2 innings of work in relief of Jon Lieber.
You don't want to get ahead of yourself in the interleague play this weekend, but
Offerman lines it into right field for a base hit.
Mark Mulder has 15 wins in interleague play. I think that's tied for second. Remember, last year the Cardinals won 11 out of 12 games. Dusty complaining about the team. His club's got to play the White Sox 6 games, while the Cardinals get to play the Royals 6 times. Those Royals have been tough on the Cardinals at times during interleague play, though.
It's like their postseason when we come to town.
Right. Suppan threw a shutout against the Cardinals a couple years ago when he was his final start.
And here's Jimmy Rollins.
Before he was traded to Boston.
I mean, to me, the thing about Matt Morris, he may have thrown harder, but he didn't possess the cutter or the slider that he now has shown to start this season.
Well, he's a pitcher. Times when he was younger, he threw hard and he had great natural sink and he had a great 12-6 curveball. But now he's developed how to and learned how to pitch, how to compete. Carpenter's got that same good sinker. He's got the good 12-6, but he's come up with a cutter and a changeup. And that's how a lot of these guys just kind of feed off of each other and they experiment together.
And Morris probably learned how to pitch more last year when he was hurt than at any time before in his career. Didn't have that great arsenal of stuff that he possessed prior to that season, and still got himself 15 wins. That shows you how good he can be.
And I think you're going to find that he's going to probably enjoy this season a lot more than maybe even when he won 22, because he's doing it with less stuff, but he's doing it in a crafty fashion and knows he's earning those outs.
Count on Rollins, 2 balls, 2 strikes. He is struck out swinging and fly to center and hits it up the middle for a base hit. So back-to-back hits for the Phils to start this 6th inning. And it brings in Chavez, who twice has grounded to Mark Grudzielanek.
We'll take it another one, won't we?
Get yourself a double play. Speaking of Grudzielanek, he started out tonight 6th overall in the league in hitting, and after 3 hits, he's on the rise, approaching 350. Fastball in there for a strike. The league leader is Barmes from Colorado, hitting 387. Albert Pujols was also in the top 10, and Albert has had a 2-run home run tonight. Runners at first and second. And a ground ball pulled foul. No balls and 2 strikes is the count. And now Nunez, who is playing in at third base, will back up a few steps.
Carpenter just attacking, bending here with 2 hits in the frame, but he just goes right after him. And remember, we talked about Cincinnati. He had trouble in the 6th inning in one start. The next start, it was the 5th inning at home after just shutout pitching. So you kind of put those things in the back of your mind, and you kind of remind yourself, okay, this is the innings I got to really bear down and make sure they don't break through.
Well, we talked about last inning where Carpenter was struggling seeing the signs of Molina. Well, he's taped his fingers. Pick him up a little better. Tailing fastball and a strike taken. A called third strike on Chavez, and that's the 6th strikeout this evening for Chris Carpenter.
Chavez jumping away from it. You can see that ball was in the middle of the plate. So he got a strikeout at 6th of the night. Now we can take that double play ball.
This is Bobby Abreu. The Cardinals leading 8-0 on a 9-hit attack. Chris Carpenter has only allowed 4 hits and he has struck out 6.
Really got to bear down, because this is where you don't want to let them back in the game.
Right-hander is throwing in the bullpen for the Phils, as Geary was lifted after being pinch hit for by Jose Offerman. He's standing at second base.
Tejada out there, I believe.
Good block by Molina on that pitch in the dirt. 1 ball, 1 strike. Abreu's been held in check tonight with a walk, and he is grounded out to second, 0 for 1. Bobby Abreu picked up by the Philadelphia Phillies, traded by Tampa Bay for Kevin Stocker. I mentioned how this guy has kind of flown under the radar screen of some of the great players in the game of baseball. Think about this. Coming into play in 2005, Bobby Abreu, 6 straight years of 20 home runs and 20 stolen bases. Only Willie Mays and Barry Bonds have ever done that in the game of baseball.
He's got the 30-30 season.
And he drills this one into right center field, and just like that, it's another home run for Abreu. And it's 8-3. Bobby Abreu is absolutely on fire. His 12th home run, RBIs 31, 32, and 33.
He's homered in 9 of his last 10 games. He's the player of the week for the National League. It's an 11-game hitting streak for Bobby, and that ball just tailing right back out over the middle of the plate, and he doesn't miss it.
He's now tied with Derek Lee of the Cubs for the most home runs in the National League, the most in the major leagues. Alex Rodriguez with 13, and don't look now, Tino Martinez was tied for the league lead when he had 12. Tino.
Another Tino reference is something that Bobby Abreu has done, whether it's home runs in this month, maybe.
There's Pat Burrow with a count of 2 balls and no strikes. So Abreu, the 3-run home run, gets the Phils on the board.
That's Abreu's 11th home run this month, which was tied for the most among all major league players with New York Yankees Tino Martinez. So he just passed Tino. Home runs in the month of May. In some ways, you kind of look at Abreu and you kind of think of Rafael Palmeiro, another guy that sneaks up on you with the 500-plus home runs,
yeah,
3,000 plus, 3,000 hits.
Right, 600 home runs almost. He's got a shot to get there. Pat Burrow draws the walk, and here comes Dave Duncan as Chase Utley will be the hitter.
Well, there's 3 games in recent time where all of a sudden Carp hits a bump in the road, and a couple of them he didn't recover.
No activity yet in that Cardinal bullpen. They're starting to stir a little bit. If you'd like to win Cardinals tickets and participate in the Southwest Airlines Family of the Game promotion during a Cardinals home game, here's your chance. Send your name, address, and phone number to Southwest Airlines Family of the Game, P.O. Box 771192, St. Louis, Missouri 63177. And good luck from Southwest Airlines.
May the 2nd at Cincinnati. Got into the 6th inning, couldn't get out of it. Gave up 5 runs to a earned. That was with that controversial Griffey home run. In San Diego, they got 1 in the 4th and then 4 more in the 5th inning. He kind of gutted his way through 7 innings of that game and lost that one. And then his last time out, he pitched very well again. 7 innings, 3 runs. Only 2 of those were earned, getting his 5th win.
That's 6 straight balls thrown by the Cardinal right-hander.
They're all waving their arms, loosening up down there in the Cardinal bullpen.
Cardinals last night, their bullpen, they used Gabe White as he made his Redbird debut for a couple of innings. Randy Flores for an inning. Al Reyes as well. How about a double play? 4-6. Can they turn to 3? No. Now that time I think you have to question. 6 straight balls and down by 5 runs, and he's swinging at the pitch. They're trying to get back in the game against this starter or knock him out, and he's swinging at that pitch.
Didn't come cleanly for Grizzlonic, and that was the difference. And he does maintain it, and he does get at least 1 out, but that was the difference in turning 2. Just not a smooth transition from glove to throwing hand, but the ball did come up on him a bit.
Carpenter has problems now with David Bell. It's 2 for 2. Bell with a single back in the 2nd inning, and he doubled in the 5th down the left field line. Cardinals picked up 5 runs in the 3rd, 2 in the 5th, another in the 6th.
Brad Thompson throwing for the Cardinals.
Had a nice extended conversation with Brad today.
Got the earphones off long enough to talk?
Yep. I think it caught him going back to his stall from the bathroom stall, where he did not have his headphones on.
More information than I needed.
Had to explain myself. I made sure that you understood where I got him, in the hallway.
Shoulders drooping a little bit as he's trying to fight, giving that attack mode, trying to get this final out here in the 6th.
Got to explain yourself sometimes, Al. Define exactly where it took place.
And you did, and we can move on.
3-1 is the count on Bell. David Bell was not much of a power hitter when he came up with the St. Louis Cardinals, and then all of a sudden he started really hitting the baseball with authority, and he draws a walk, and that's the 2nd walk handed out by Carpenter in this inning. And for Carpenter, he will have to deal now with Perez. So 4th walk in this game, and the 2nd in this inning. One swing of the bat, and they're right back in the game.
Well, that's it. And Carpenter kind of, I was going to say it, 3 times the last 4 starts he's had one of these type of innings. And
he is due up 2nd for the Cardinals, and we'll move to the 7th.
Last time out, he kind of gutted his way through, got through 7 innings, but you wonder now with this pitch count, it's going to be 100 plus by the time this inning's over. They'll probably just go ahead and hit for him. Bullpen's been that good.
Good curveball, and he is a strike away from getting out of this 6th.
Not a good ratio at all. And a lot of times we've seen him capable of putting up 3 strikes for every ball.
In the 0-2, he got him with 3 curveballs. And the Phillies strand 2. They pick up 3 on 1 swing of the bat by Bobby Abreu. Abreu's 12th home run. He's tied now with Derek Lee with the league lead. Dave Clausen is tonight's merchandise winner in the Hyundai long drive inning sweepstakes. If the Cardinals hit a home run in the 7th, Dave qualifies for the Hyundai drawing in September. To register, visit a St. Louis area Hyundai dealer. And Jason Marquis has moved to the on-deck circle, tomorrow's starter. And Yadier Molina has been one of the hitting stars for the Cardinals, a 2-for-3 night. He singled in the 2nd, and then he came up with 2 runners on against their starter, Jon Lieber. And he went deep. His first home run of 2005. The Cardinals hit a pair off of Lieber. That was part of a 5-run inning. And St. Louis leads it by the score of 8-3. Robinson Tejeda, appearing for the 3rd time, a right-hander, takes over for the Phillies. It will be Molina, Marquis in the top of the order.
He was called up from AAA when Tim Morrell went on the disabled list. He was a starter down there and pitched very well. He allowed 1 earned run or less in 4 of his 5 starts and has yet to allow a home run this season.
Originally signed by the Phillies as an amateur free agent back in '98.
He was 2-0 with a 2.22 ERA in those 5 starts. Strikeout per inning down there. He's from the Dominican.
Jose Offerman has stayed in the ball game to take over at first base for Perez, and it's a count of 1 ball, 2 strikes. Thompson had been throwing in the Cardinal bullpen as Chris Carpenter's night is done. 2-2 is the count. 95 on our gun. And again, like we said before, Marquis is on deck. Cardinals have used Taguchi filling in for Mabry after he left the ball game, and that's a strikeout of Yadier Molina. He's 2 for 4. And it brings in Jason Marquis. The Cardinals have Diaz, Sanders, Seabold, and Cedeno on the bench, but Tony La Russa going with Jason Marquis in place of Carpenter.
Even though the Cardinals still have a 5-run lead, you don't want to see that bench depleted. Jason swings the bat pretty well.
I've seen Tony La Russa do this a couple of times this season. Use Marquis as a pinch hitter or a pinch runner.
And maybe the reason why you can do it with him is he's such a good athlete. You always worry about an injury, but Jason being such a good athlete, he can run those bases without you worrying too much. Batting .286 this year with 4 RBIs.
And an 0-2 pitch. Spoils it. Tony La Russa is saying just don't get hurt.
And Jason's going, Tejada, don't you know I'm a fellow pitcher? Don't work me over like that.
Nothing 2 the count on Marquis. Fouls it back again.
94 mile an hour. He can handle. He may not catch up to everyone, but he can make it a competitive at bat when it's fastballs.
Some finals already in the National League. Chicago over Pittsburgh 3-2. The Mets beat Cincinnati 10-6 at Shea. That one was hit down the left field line and out of play. Florida over the Dodgers 8-3 at Dodger Stadium. San Diego beat Atlanta 8-4. In the 9th, Milwaukee and Washington, no score. 2-2 between Colorado and San Francisco. That's in the 8th. And Arizona leading Houston 5-1. And that game is in the 4th inning. Another 0-2 pitch. Marquis grounds it to second base. There's 2 outs. We're back to David Eckstein, who's 0 for 3, and he has walked. Cardinals began play tonight with a 5-game lead over the Milwaukee Brewers. Biggest lead of the year has been 6. That was prior to last night's game. As we speak, the Cardinals lead Chicago by 6 games as they have picked up a half game, at least for the time being. And with the loss, the Pirates have dropped to 7 back. Fastball and a strike to David Eckstein. .102 pitches thrown by Chris Carpenter. 59 were strikes, as Carpenter gives the Cardinals 6 innings. And Eckstein is hit by the pitch. No stranger to that, as he a couple of times in the American League led the league in being hit by pitches.
Set up inside, and the ball just kind of takes off, hits him up on the upper arm. There's Jose Offerman.
Roger Cedeno will be the pinch hitter for Larry Walker. We talked about this last night during the game, that the Cardinals are concerned with Cedeno and the fact that when he hits from this side of the plate, he kind of bails on it. He's trying to hustle down the line before putting the ball in play, almost running before he swings. We've seen that with Luis Castillo of the Florida Marlins, and with Cedeno, it obviously has not paid off. His numbers have not been good to start this season.
You know, byproduct of a switch hitter. So you know he was a right-handed natural hitter. They make him a switch hitter because of his running speed. So when he's batting right-handed, and he can, you know, he can hold his own there. He's got more power from that side. Batting .429 there, but 2 for 33 left-handed. And so here he's trying to take advantage of the running speed, and you run out of the box just slapping down on the ball. But got to make some contact too.
And quickly the count runs to 3 balls and no strikes.
Another reason why you used Marquis to pinch hit. As you see now, they are using Cedeno to pitch hit for Walker.
That's ball 4 to Roger, and that is the last thing that Tejeda wanted to do, is face Albert Pujols with runners on base. Cardinal fans, don't miss a minute of the action with Game Day Audio. You can listen to Cardinal games live right from your computer. Sign up for Game Day Audio exclusively at stlcardinals.com. For Game Day Audio and everything baseball, log on to stlcardinals.com. Runners at first and second for Albert Pujols, who was homered tonight. First pitch is a strike. Albert is also walked. He's popped out to center, popped out to third, average at .333 in the top 10 in the league in hitting. And with those 2 RBIs, he started tonight, 4th overall in the league. He's now at 33 on the season. And he has the team lead along with Reggie Sanders with 10 home runs. 0-1 pitch. Ooh, just missed.
Might have been just a touch outside as Lieberthal shifted that way. And Tejeda hit his spot.
One pitch.
Took something off that one. Albert a little bit out in front.
The 1-2, and Pujols strikes out. It's time to stretch. Here in Philly, the Cardinals have left 10 on, but they lead it by 5 runs. Coming up after the final out here in Philly, we've got the Midwest Sports Report on FSN Midwest. Coming up, the star of the game with Jim Hayes. Our post-game coverage will continue with highlights around the National League, and we'll go around the majors as well. Midwest Sports Report coming up. And Brad Thompson coming in. He's in relief of Chris Carpenter. And the numbers for Thompson, very, very good. A 1.50 ERA. And opponents hitting under 200 against him. Roger Cedeno, after walking And pinch hitting for Larry Walker stays in the game in right. Here's Mike Lieberthal. The first pitch is a strike from Thompson.
And it seems like that's all Brad throws is strikes. Not in awe of anything. Just goes out and battles and competes.
Out in front is Lieberthal. On the move is Taguchi. Can he get there along with Eckstein or Nunez? No one can, and it drops for a strike.
In one of the newer ballparks, there is a lot of foul territory down there. And that ball just found one of those really triangle areas where nobody could get at. And Eckstein goes in hard, sliding feet first to try and get to the ball. But luckily, nobody came in, got hurt. It's the third appearance this week.
0-2 wasted outside, 1-2.
One shot that he had on this road trip in New York, he was very good coming into a situation and bringing the game back into control.
And the curveball is hit into left field. Taguchi is there. Hard hit ball, but right at Taguchi for out number 1. And it brings in Jose Offerman with 1 out here in the bottom of the 7th. Brad Thompson is from Las Vegas, Nevada. Not a hard thrower. Said he used to go to the Las Vegas Academy of Baseball, which was run by Greg Maddux, and that's his idol. He said he tries, if you're going to try to mold yourself after anybody, he said Greg Maddux is the one I want to try to do that with because of the way he could change speeds and keep opposing hitters guessing. He said, I don't have that overpowering stuff, but I can change speeds.
Change speeds, get a little movement on your pitches.
And he said his best pitch so far has been the changeup to left-handed hitters.
That was it right there.
Exactly.
Arm action looks just like the fastball. And you see Offerman way out in front.
He's had very good movement on his pitches. His sinker is his best pitch, and the changeup to the lefties.
You can see the tail end action on it. There was the fastball, and he can start that one in on the hands of a left-hander like Maddux and have them give up on it, have it tail to the inside corner, or you run it away from them and have that movement. You just keep on going away from the bat.
1-2 pitch is fouled down the left field line.
A couple different variations of the fastball. Not everyone has to be the same speed or maximum velocity.
He enjoys this part of the game more so than even starting, and he's been a starter in his career. He gets a pop-up on the infield. Who wants it? Molina going out, but he's going to be called off, and the play is made by Nunez, the third baseman.
As a pitcher, you're the traffic cop in that situation. In most cases, you want one of those sure-handed fielders to take it, and your responsibility, even if you have to grab somebody, keep them away. So you show everybody it's up, then you kind of look around and see who's taking it, and you see Nunez calls for it. Stumbled a little bit around the mound, but
top of the order, Jimmy Rollins, and a strike. Again, Thompson ahead in the count. We have seen that consistently in his brief appearance here in the major leagues.
Fastball inside, tails, gives up on it, gets a called strike.
And a broken bat off the end of the bat. Pujols will take it in a 1-2-3 inning for Brad Thompson. And we're through 7. Edmonds, Taguchi, and Gritzolanic coming up. Ball on FSN Midwest, brought to you by Michelob Ultra. This is your beer. By SBC Business Unlimited. Unlimited local service, toll a nationwide long distance for $48.95 per month. And by GMC, see your professional grade Missouri, Illinois GMC dealers today. Skyline of downtown Philadelphia. Welcome back to Citizens Bank Park. Tejada stays in the ball game for his second inning of work. He'll deal with Jim Edmonds, Taguchi, and Mark Gritzolanic. Big night for Jim in the field and at the plate. Walked, struck out, singled and scored in the 5th, and doubled and scored in the 6th, and took an extra base hit away from Jimmy Rollins in the 3rd with just a tremendous play in center field. News with Barry Bonds. This cannot be good if you're a Giants fan. Apparently he is attached to an IV full of antibiotics 24 hours a day with no end to that ordeal in sight. This news coming out tonight. And no timeline for Bond's rehab because he needs to get off the antibiotics. Dealing with a serious post-operative infection that has him immobilized for the foreseeable future. Wow.
And this has been going on for close to 2 weeks now, right?
Right.
You know, you first heard something about an infection, and they need to go back in and do that third procedure.
3-2 the count on the Cardinals center fielder Jim Edmonds.
Weird situation where he's kind of going without the advice of the Giants and their medical staff.
And a swing and a miss by Edmonds as he spins away. That's strike 3.
Third strikeout for Tejada.
Came in relief of Geary, who went 2 innings. Jon Lieber, their starter, only lasted 4.
You get some attention when you strike out Pujols and Edmonds.
Here's So Taguchi. Grounded to second base his first time up. Cardinals are a little dinged up right now when you consider that Scott Rowland obviously out with the shoulder surgery. We saw Mabry have to leave this game, and we presume that's not serious. Yeah. As Taguchi came in, and at the time it was 8-0, but John looked to be a little shook up. And then you've got Edmonds battling that foot problem. Ray King has been throwing in the Cardinal bullpen, getting loose.
Haven't spread those innings around, but I don't think any of us would be disappointed to see more Brad Thompson.
I agree. Pretty efficient 1, 2, 3, 7.
I was going to say he couldn't have thrown more than 10 pitches.
And maybe the reason we see a left-hander up is because Bobby Abreu's coming up. Rollins comes up with that.
Not tall, but since he cut off the dreadlocks, he was able to jump a little higher.
Did he have the dreads yesterday?
I thought he did yesterday. No, I guess just his picture on the scoreboard had him. So but you have to time that jump and wait till you can get all the way to the apex and try and haul it in, and he does so.
Gritzalonic, a 3-hit night, RBI double, RBI single, and a single and a run scored. He's 3 for 4, 2 outs, nobody on.
.351. He'll be climbing up in the batting leaderboard.
Bad news for the Mets as Pedro Martinez has a cortisone shot in his hip. And he's going to be pushed back. Kurt Schilling still in a cast. His status uncertain for the Red Sox.
Zelonic right now would be batting 4th in the National League batting race.
Dan Kolb has been removed as the closer of the Atlanta Braves. Bobby Cox making that decision prior to action today. That's a 2-out walk for Gritzalonic.
Replaced by?
Bullpen by committee. They're going to put Kolb in the middle and let him work on some of his mechanics. Cubs, by the way, signed utility infielder Enrique Wilson, and they're one of the teams that's been mentioned as far as trying to get Placido Polanco.
Didn't Mordecai go to Baltimore and then kind of exchanged AAA infielders?
Abraham Nunez has started third base tonight. Grounded to second. Was walked and then scored in the third on the 3-run home run by Molina. Picked up an RBI in the 5th and popped out his last time up. Looking ahead to the bottom half of this inning, it'll be Chavez, Abreu, and Pat Burrell.
Washington Nationals picked up a run in the bottom of the 9th inning to win 1-0 over Milwaukee.
Houston trailing Arizona 6-1. That's in the 5th. The Cubs have already won. They beat Pittsburgh 3-2. And the Mets over Cincinnati 10-6. You and I both thought that Cincinnati was going to be a little bit better than they're playing right now.
We did.
And they have not lived up to our expectations. Two balls, one strike on Nunez. 8-3 St. Louis here in the 8th.
It's Capuano from Milwaukee and Loaiza for the Nationals. 1-0 game. Loaiza wins. I assume they were the starters.
3 balls, 1 strike on Abraham Nunez. Gritzelanek, the runner at first base, with Molina on deck. Nunez hits it to first. And the Cardinals are done in their half of the 8th. Tony going to the bullpen phone. It's 8-3 St. Louis. Back in Philadelphia, we take a look at the game summary, and the recap brought to you by Bank of America, the official bank of Major League Baseball. Albert Pujols got things going. Then Molina added to it with the long ball, his first of 2005. Jim Edmonds was one of the top catches of the year so far. Taking a hit away from Jimmy Rollins. That was back in the 3rd. There's some of the flavor of tonight as the Cardinals lead it by 5 runs on 9 hits. Yadier Molina, first home run of the season, and Chris Carpenter, a story as well. 6 innings, 3 earned runs, 4 walks, and he struck out 7. And a new pitcher in for the Cardinals. It'll be Ray King, Chavez, Abreu, and Pat Burrell for the Phils here in the bottom of the 8th. Cardinals trying to take game 2 after taking 2 of 3 against New York, dropping the first one last night. Numbers on Ray King, his 19th appearance.
Ray King arm was a little tender last week, and he hasn't pitched since we're Tuesday in St. Louis against LA. So needed a couple days off. You got a little more than that. Should be ready to go.
1 ball, 1 strike.
He's done a good job of containing left-handed batters. Last year was outstanding, only a 150 average with no home runs. This year a little bit, they've gotten to him a little better, 208 average, and the same, no home runs.
Brad Thompson had a scoreless frame for St. Louis in relief of Carpenter, who's in line for the victory tonight if the Cardinals can hold it. A lead of 5 runs.
Good quality start for Cardinal starter, and Carpenter trying to win a 6th game.
2-1 pitch. Chavez into deep right field, and it is off the wall. Cedeno out there. Chavez will stop at second base. Leadoff double for the Phils. Sometimes you've got walls out there that are hard, and that ball will jump hard off the wall, and that one with the screen in front of it, it just hits it and dies. So in a way, Cedeno catches a break, Al.
Yeah, because that ball could have come and got by him, and with Chavez's speed, he picked up at least another base and maybe even circled the base.
So here now is Abreu, who's just been killing the Cardinals. A 3-run home run off of Chris Carpenter in the 6th. And the fastball, a strike. Abreu has walked back in the 1st. He's grounded to second, and the 3-run home run in the 6th.
Looks like a lot of these left-handers going to pound Abreu and some of these Phillies in, and they're pretty good at turning on that pitch. You got to move it around.
Lined into the seats. No balls, 2 strikes with Julian Tavares getting loose.
Got Abreu, and then Burrell, the right-hander, Utley, the left-hander.
One and 2 the count on Bobby Abreu. Boston gets pounded as David Wells returned from the disabled list. 13-6 in favor of Oakland against Ray King. Abreu just 1 for 14. Later tonight, New York and Seattle out in Seattle. Baltimore winning again 4-3 over Kansas City.
Ray's definitely got his adrenaline flowing, but you know, with about 8 days off, you know, it's always questionable how you're going to pitch that first game, and then sometimes it's even tougher to recover. When you've had that long a time off, you throw, and the recovery time suffers a little bit. But he knows the importance of facing one of the hottest hitters in the game.
1-2 pitch is in the dirt. 2-2. League leaders so far, San Diego. They have gotten hot after what they did against the Cardinals. They lead out west by a game over Arizona, game and a half in front of the Dodgers. The Cardinals coming into play tonight, a 5-game lead. Philadelphia started 5.5 games out in the National League East. Atlanta, a game and a half out in front of Florida.
As people tell us that LA wasn't as good as people thought. They just hadn't really played anybody that was very good. The Cardinals won 3 out of 4. Now they're struggling. They've been knocked out of first place. They caught San Diego and San Francisco down.
And Florida beat Los Angeles today at Dodger Stadium 8-3. Count now full here on Bobby Abreu. What does he go with here? The slider?
And the slider has been very inconsistent.
It was, and he drilled it into right field. Hard hit. Chavez being waved home. Cedeno's relay is cut off by Pujols. Roger Cedeno hesitated a little bit. They did not send Chavez, and all of a sudden, it's runners at first and third for Pat Burrell. One swing of the bat, and the Phils are within 2.
He threw the slider, but it was up and in the middle of the plate and hit hard into right field. Nobody out. You're trailing by 5. You can ill afford to have somebody thrown out at the plate. So Abreu does knock out King, and there you see how Chavez was stopped late as Gansey came all the way down to stop him, and we saw the throw coming on line.
Burrell coming up. He'll face Tavares with runners at the corners, and the Cardinals trying to hold on. Congratulations to 11-year-old Brendan Blaze, this year's St. Louis area winner of the Briggs & Stratton Diamonds in the Rough essay contest. Brendan won his baseball field, $5,000 worth of refurbishments. Congratulations to Brendan Blaze. And check it out at BriggsDiamondsInTheRough.com. Cardinals turn to their 4th pitcher, 3rd reliever. That's Julian Tavares, his 18th appearance. Very good ERA of 2.89. Opponents, though, hitting nearly 300 against Julian. And he will face Pat Burrell with 2 runners on. It'll be Burrell, Utley, and David Bell. After there was a double by Chavez against Ray King, and then the single by Bobby Abreu.
Well, he won his first by pitching 1 2/3 scoreless innings on Saturday. He's been credited with a win, hold, or save in 9 of his last 11 appearances. He leads the team in 7 holds. That's good for tied for 4th in the National League, and has yet to allow an imperative runner to score.
Report on John Mabry, tightness in his lower back. It's considered minor. That's why he was lifted midway through this contest.
And probably embarrassed to even have us talk about it. And John?
Here's Pat Burrell. He's walked twice and struck out. Chance at a double play. Eckstein, Grudzielanek, and it's a double play. A run will score, but a 6-4-3 double play. And we talked about those 2 up the middle, Eckstein and Grudzielanek, and that's their 2nd double play of the night.
Pitcher's best friend, and those guys too. They're hustling, really work well together. Chest high right there for Grudzielanek. Plenty of time just to make sure everyone gets a decent throw and makes a good return throw. Ball was hit sharply, and that's part of the a combination of a double play. So the run charged to Ray King, but Cardinals will trade that one out for the bases cleared.
Second baseman Chase Utley against Tavares.
One run.
That's well hit into left center field. Edmonds looking up, and it is off the top of the wall. Now they're saying it's gone. Well, Edmonds thought it wasn't gone, but it's gone.
You know, you can debate that because of the ground rule here that fans can reach over. It has to go into the seats.
And it sure looked like the fan had reached over.
The fans reached over. So the question is, would the ball have gone into the seats? It's one of those deals where they set up a bad situation. Look at the fans. They're reaching over there.
Clearly did.
And, you know, so it's a judgment call as to whether they're going to do a ground rule double.
Jeffrey Mayer all over again, Al.
Well, but why do you do something like that? I mean, make it above the yellow line or something. Not Charlie Manuel's going to argue, but the home team sets the ground rules. And you can see where the yellow line is, and it goes up to the top of the railing. Why not just do the top of the fence or something like that? But when you have fans that can definitely come in and reach over the wall, see, it's got to go over that railing and into the seats, and you can't tell fans not to reach over.
And Chase Utley from the dugout was doing his best Steve Klein impersonation.
Now watch, see, they're going to reach over. It's just natural instinct.
And for those that aren't following what I'm talking about, Steve Klein, in a famous game against the Chicago Cubs last year, we think you know where I'm going with this.
Right. Oh, I know where you're going, but I don't know why you want to keep on going.
He should be embarrassed. Shouldn't be doing that. It's major leagues.
And they're going to
grow up.
Ground rule double, so just a little more for the fans here of City of Brotherly Love to voice their favorite adjectives. Favorite speech. Lieberthal said I talked to Mike Schmidt. He said he's a Hall of Famer. They booed him here, so you know we all have to get used to it.
Mike Schmidt was booed so badly one time, and he knew he was going to be booed. Came out in a wig underneath his hat. And he turned the boos into cheers.
Well, why don't you maybe say why he knew he was going to be booed?
He said that these are the worst fans in baseball, and it was a quote. Everybody knew that it was played up in the city, and then they came back off a road trip, and he was introduced. He ran out to his position. He knew it was coming, so he had some fun with it. And
Larry Anderson provided the wig for him.
Exactly.
But, you know, you got to expect it then.
Yeah, usually if you say something like that, that's not going to help your cause. Larry Bowen did that too in his playing career.
And you know what? I've always had fun with these fans here. They're good fans, but I mean they come from a little different mentality, and they pay their money. They can do whatever they want.
There's a 1-0 pitch to Bell. A little low. David tonight, a couple of hits and a walk, on base 3 times.
Izzy is throwing behind Tavares now, with everyone hoping that won't see Izzy until the 9th.
Two balls and 1 strike on Bell, as Tavares is trying to get out of the 8th and keep it an 8-4 St. Louis lead. Chris Carpenter went 6 innings, 3 runs allowed. That was on the home run by Abreu on 5 hits. He struck out 7. Brad Thompson had a 1-2-3 inning in relief. Ray King started this inning, gave up a pair of hits and a run. Now Tavares trying to get the final out in this 8th. He comes set, and a 2-1 pitch. Popped up. Molina, does he have a play? Foul territory, and near the screen, he makes the play. We head to the ninth. To go to break, listen to the boos here in Philly. Best damn sports show, period. The greatest nightly sports show on television with host Chris Rose, John Sally, Rob Dibble, and Rodney Pete. It's all coming up tonight, 10:30, following the Midwest Sports Report. Our score, ninth inning, 8-4 in favor of the Cardinals. They have out-hit the Phillies 9-8. Here's Yadier Molina. He'll be followed by Scott Seabold. He'll be the pinch hitter. And then we'll have the top of the order and David Eckstein. Molina's 2 for 4 with a 3-run homer. Part of a 5-run third against Jon Lieber. Tata is third inning of work for the Phillies. 2 innings out of Geary and then 4 out of their starter Lieber. Molina pops it up behind home plate. A lot of fans have cleared out here at Citizens Bank Park.
Practicing vocalizing on the way home.
1-1 pitch.
Cardinals had a relief pitcher, Lowell Palmer, who started his career with the Philadelphia Phillies.
Molina hits it in the air to center. That's the first out. We'll get back to that story in just a second. Now we've got to check in with the Midwest Sports Report. It's coming up. Scott Seabold, the pinch hitter, with 1 out, nobody on. David Eckstein on deck.
Lowell Palmer, when he came over to the Cardinals and we were at the vet, he'd wear a helmet down in the bullpen because he would just, you know, kind of entice people to throw money at him. It wasn't batteries, but it was money. But he took home $25 worth of change.
From this city?
From this city one time. It was about, you know, our paychecks were about 3 times that for a game.
Which stadium was this at?
The vet.
The vet, okay.
The vet. He also was an author. Wrote a book called The Metamorphosis of the Butterfly.
Did you read it?
No.
Right behind 3 Nights in August. Have you read 3 Nights?
I'm going to read that one. I got it.
Tony would be very upset with you, Al.
I'm going to read it.
Here's an 0-2 pitch. Seabold swings at a ball, and that's a strikeout. Tejada struck out 4 so far.
He's done a nice job, and you know, former starter comes up here to during Tim Worrell's absence, and we wish him the best and get him back.
Batter is David Eckstein with 2 outs and nobody on. He's been on base twice. He's walked and was hit by a pitch back in the 7th. Breaking ball misses down and away. So Julian Tavares, a scoreless frame despite the 1 run coming in, but that was charged to Ray King. Pujols concentrating. His spot would come up. Eckstein grounds it to third. Backhanded play for Bell. Long throw, and we head to the bottom of the 9th. Phillies are down to their final 3 outs as St. Louis looks to take game number 2. In Philly, we tell you Cardinal Baseball is a production of Bud Sports and an exclusive presentation of FSN Midwest. Alongside of Jim Hayes and Al Raboski, I'm Dan McLaughlin. Midwest Sports Report's coming up shortly. Yadier Molina, one of the stars tonight, with a couple of hits and he's got a 3-run homer mixed in there.
Jason taking over 13th time. He's 9 for 9 in saves opportunities. This is not a save opportunity, but Cardinals need him to save this game. Retire him 1-2-3 right here. ERA under 1. Jason has done a good job while he was out. The Cardinals were 9-7 in his absence, and he saved both wins in New York coming off the disabled list on Friday night. 110 saves as the Cardinals, good for 4th place in the team's all-time save list. 17 games or saves behind Bruce Sutter, who's 3rd with 127. And talked to Bruce a couple weeks ago. He was getting ready. I think it was about 2 weeks ago. He had back surgery. Oh, I hope he's doing all right.
That's his second, isn't it?
Yep.
Here's Jason Michaels off the bench and the pinch hitter for the Phillies. And the first pitch is upstairs and taken for a ball. On this homestand, Michaels is 2 for 13 against the Cardinals this year. He's 4 for 7 with a pair of RBIs. Now, in the game on Sunday, Jason Isringhausen took a liner off the bat of Mike Piazza, and he caught it basically with his forearm or his wrist, and it caught the fleshy part of his arm, not the bone. And he goes 3-0 on Michaels. I talked to Izzy about it. He said that he still had the stitches.
Yeah, I saw it
on his arm.
Said I'm fine, but he said, you know, it did hurt. I said I bet it did.
He said that the ink of the blue of the ball, there's a little blue Major League Baseball emblem on the ball, that actually was on his arm. You could see the logo. That's how hard hit that ball was. Full count now on Michaels.
There's a new ball, wet ink.
Or just really hard hit. Was 3-0, now it's 3-2. It's foul and out of play. That'll find the seats. Here's what we're talking about in the game on Sunday. Mike Piazza at the plate. And this is just a rope coming back at Isringhausen. Self-defense, and he came up with it.
Took it off his hip after hitting him in the forearm.
Michaels does not go around, and it's a leadoff walk by Isringhausen. We've seen Izzy do that, a lot of leadoff walks, but then he pitches out of trouble. He's 9 for 9 in save opportunities, and like you said, Al, this is not a save opportunity, though.
Yeah, you get bored out there, so he's got to make it interesting. And I'm not too sure if he's tongue-in-cheek or if he's telling the truth, but all I know is Walt Jocketty went to go get some more, roll weights.
And Tony.
But that's sometimes a risk you run when you bring in a closer in a non-save situation. They're bored, need a little closer. But Izzy allows a base runner or two, but he gets out of him.
1-0 pitch, taken for a strike on the outside corner. Lieberthal is 0 for 3 with a pair of strikeouts tonight. Cardinals lead it 8-4. Picked up runs in the 3rd. They got 5. 2 in the 5th, 1 in the 6th. Lead at 8-4. They've out hit the Phils 9-8. Little low. 2-1. Will come your way tomorrow at 11:30 St. Louis time. That will be Jason Marquis and Brett Myers. Here's a 2-1 pitch. Popped up.
Some of the fans stayed just so they could boo Lieberthal one more time.
One out, and it brings in Jose Offerman. Single to right center and popped out to 3rd. We started our night talking about double plays. Will we end our night with a double play? Cardinals have turned 2 tonight. Curveball misses outside with Nunez cheating in on the grass at 3rd. Outfield is straight away. count with 1 out and a runner at first.
Quick turnaround for Izzy tomorrow, and Tony and Dunk just hoping that he doesn't throw too many pitches.
Crowd of 29,130 tonight. About half of that has stuck around. The Cardinals got a much-needed off day on Monday, and Izzy did not pitch yesterday, so getting some work in on this Wednesday night. Two strikes on the batter, Jose Offerman.
Curveball's been very good for him.
Offerman just gets a piece. Started out his career as a shortstop.
Remember that with the Dodgers?
Yeah, a long time ago.
He really has had a nice career.
Moved to first base. Played first for a while with the Boston Red Sox. Put up some very good numbers.
Fastball away.
Offerman goes with the pitch and flies it into left, and the Cardinals are 1 out away from taking game number 2. Turn to the play of the game, brought to you by Bud Light. If you missed it, you missed that. A terrific play by Jim Edmonds. That was back in the 3rd, where he robbed an extra base hit away from this man at the plate, Jimmy Rollins, who was 1 for 4 with a single and a run scored.
We still have these chain link fences in some ballparks, and been a lot of injuries over the years, some severe ones. Bobby Valentine ended his career, broke his leg getting a cleat caught on a chain link fence in Anaheim. Now outfielder for the Braves, Brian Asselstein, jumped up and tore his ankle up on a ball in Fulton County Stadium. Next day they put a piece of plexiglass there. Said that'll never happen again. They put it only in that one spot.
So it would happen right there again.
Right. Eventually, when the team went on
the
road,
rest of the fence,
they did eventually do the entire outfield, but it was
so I guess
funny and awkward. Yeah,
they were correct.
They were correct. They were going to make sure it didn't ever happen there again. But they only covered one square with the plexiglass.
Up the middle, that's a base hit. 2-hit night for Jimmy Rollins. And the game is extended to Andy Chavez.
Chavez could make it very interesting if he gets on base, extends it to Bobby Abreu. So let's have it in right here.
You're right. I mean, it's a big out just to end the game, but make sure you do not face Bobby Abreu with a chance to tie it up. He's already homered tonight.
Some of these ballparks, you don't get rewarded for making good pitches. And the way Abreu swinging the bat.
And strike 1. Chavez has grounded to second twice, struck out looking in the 6th, and doubled to right last inning. Came around to score. That cut the lead to 8-4. Here's an 0-1 pitch.
Sometimes a manager will hold his closer out, only bring him in save situations, but in a ballpark like this, I don't think you can afford to do it. Do it like Tony did.
And I'm sure that's what went into his thinking, bringing in Jason Isringhausen. No lead safe. It's interesting how at times you'll manage differently in different ballparks, Wrigley Field being one. This is starting to run into that category as well.
And
the 2-1.
you see that Tony's churning is the nightmare. You know, he's seen the from the one side, and at least he's forcing a smile there, but
this is pitch number 24 from Jason Isringhausen with Abreu on deck. Let's keep him there. And the bases are loaded for Bobby Abreu.
Duncan will come out and talk to Izzy, but the Phillies were on their feet. They're trying, at least they know they're the hottest hitter in baseball.
That is stuck around, they're into it now with the bases loaded, 2 outs, tying run at the plate. Bobby Abreu, as you mentioned, Al, the hottest hitter in baseball, and he already has hit a 3-run home run tonight. He homered last night. Absolutely on fire.
Earlier in this week he had home runs in 5 straight games. He's now homered in 9 of his last 10 games, so he's got 12 this month. So let's just have some fun.
He's 2 for 3 tonight. Bases loaded, first pitch to him is a strike. That caught an awful lot of the plate.
And he's not afraid to take that first one. Gotta sit there and see what it looks like.
Pat Burrell is on deck. Abreu trying to extend the game. Curveball, and it's 0-2.
That had some bite to it.
Sure did.
It was an excellent pitch right there.
Cardinals 1 strike away.
All Charlie Manuel can say is, hey, his team has given him a shot to at least tie it here with the last strike. What Tony hopes is the game.
The 0-2 pitch, curveball, and Abreu stays alive. Another good curveball from Jason.
Now he wants to talk to Molina, as it looked like he really didn't snap that one off. Kind of really tried to aim that one.
Cardinals have been in control for the better part of this game, but here we are. As baseball always seems to wind up this way, coming down to this final pitch, the final out with some tension.
Well, they had an 8-0 at one point in this ball game, and here we are down to
some anxious moments.
Yeah.
Cardinals had a wild finish a year ago and a wild pitch in which Mike Matheny, after Burrell struck out, threw him out at first to end the game. How will this one end? Curveball! A strikeout. 8-4 the final. Take a look at this pitch, Al, as Jason Isringhausen picks up the biggest strikeout of the night.
Well, let's see where this one starts out. Boy, way up there, up in his eyes, but it comes down, and that's it.
All right, the Cardinals win it by the score of 8-4. Chris Carpenter is a winner tonight. 9 hits aside. Join us tomorrow at 11:30 for Cardinals Today. Noon with the play-by-play coverage of game number 3. Midwest Sports Report is coming up.